First of all, congratulations to all Indians for yesterday's feat of Chandrayaan 3. And I'm sure MSMEs and SMEs would have contributed to that. I was seeing how many players, how many innovators have contributed to this success. And once being part of Hindustan Aeronautics Board, I was a part of Hindustan Aeronautics Board, and having closely worked with ISRO during my tenure there, I experienced how many small, medium enterprises, technology leaders, how they have contributed in their small way in making ISRO the organization that is. So, why I'm taking the yesterday's feat and ISRO? ISRO has more than about 6,000 vendors. And if you look at all the PSUs together, there will be at least 50,000 vendors. Let us take even the example of Bharat Heavy Electricals or BEL, etc. You will find that the vendor companies are huge. They make small components, and in various fields, metallurgy being one, new technology, robotics, and I think that the MSMEs and the emerging technology companies are the key growth drivers in my view. So, my experience here, just to take it back to HAL, and what we saw in Chandrayaan 2 and Chandrayaan 3. What was the difference? And since it's a very new topic, so what was the difference? The landing was the only issue that was there. The takeoff was the same, but the landing was the gravity, which is 1/10 of Earth, and to how to control the speed and how to land was the key issue. And if you look at all the reports that have gone in and of all the efforts that have gone in, how the system has been improved so as to take any impact. And you would have read it in the newspapers also. After an hour or two, till that time the dust did not settle out when the Vikram lander touched the moon. So, to learn from a mistake, to rectify the mistake, and to make it happen is what the new age MSMEs and technology companies will provide. And that is the key, and I'm sure it will be deliberated throughout the day when we have discussions, what will be the new trends, where are we heading for, what is the direction we are going to take, and what will be the capital. Now coming to capital, what was the capital that was spent in Chandrayaan 3? 700 crores. A Boeing costs 700 crores today, one single plane. Okay? Boeing costs 700 crores. So please, the optimum utilization of a capital can be just, this is a key example. And that is what the emerging technology is, and the SME segment and MSME segment will have. That how do we optimally use the capital? Because capital is a resource which is not easily available. Capital constraints are there. And if you look at COVID, how many companies in this space have fallen off because they did not have the courage to take or the ability to take the shocks. So, capital is one of the key constraints, but the efficiency of using the capital is going to be the key as we move forward. So, anybody who is into this new business, new technology, and MSME, SME, how will they optimally get the capital and how will they use the capital? Because there is no room for error, there is no scope for, because if you see even the segment of MSMEs, you don't have too many PE players coming into, if you look at the new age technologies, people will look for valuations, etc. But if you look at historical MSME companies, nobody comes in and contributes. They're totally dependent on the banks. And that is why approximately 5 lakh crores, the banks have given more than about 5 lakh crores to the total funding of MSMEs itself. So what I'm trying to say is the capital preservation, the money that they get for growth, all are very restricted. And to optimally use it is going to be the key as far as any promoter of any MSME or any technology innovation that happens. The cash burns are heavy, and startups, the cash burns are very heavy. So it is very important to preserve capital and to see that we optimize our capital. Second is the fear of failure. We start an entrepreneurship, we are into that, but there is a room for failure. And that is why I see that an idea that has to be translated into success, we should be very clear of all the contingent things that will happen. Just to give an example, if you take something on rent and want to work out a shed, even to start a small enterprise, there may be roadblocks there. The amount of permissions that you require, the amount of including GST registration to everything. So you will have challenges at each stage. And you may not get an order because GST registration has not happened. So what I'm trying to say is, as an entrepreneur, one must plan what exactly are the next steps and give leverage of some failures or some setbacks and start working on it. So the second thing that I'm emphasizing is, please plan well and execute your plan with a lot of contingencies, because I think risk mitigation is one of the most important aspects. And I feel this because I have seen industries who have taken a lot of human manpower, start working on large scale and failed. So why have they failed? Because they overemployed people, or they did not use their capital efficiently, or there were operational inefficiencies. And that is the key how you succeed. Because all ideas are good, but how do you translate those ideas into being a successful entrepreneurship or enterprise is a very, very important aspect that needs to be taken into account when we go and start an enterprise. Now coming to what is the future? Since I'm just a keynote speaker and I have a very limited, the whole day you will be hearing a lot of experts. What is the future? The future is, if you see a trend in Indian industry, the larger people are getting larger, and the smaller people are getting merged. The smaller people are getting dependent on the larger players. That is a trend which is very visible, because if you see the growth of MSME in the last 1 odd year, the numbers have increased, but the percentile contribution has marginally slipped out. This is because the big enterprises, now you look at the cement industry, where are the mini cement plants? Hardly can you see anyone. Similarly, steel rolling plants, can you see anyone? Just they are going in, either they cannot maintain their cost of operation, or they are perishing on the roadside because they have no ability to compete with the larger players. And then, unfortunately or fortunately, there are cartels which work. And I think, so the strength of the point I was making is, there is a huge gap. And this gap will widen as we go across. And that is where the MSMEs and the new age companies will have to step up and see how do they make themselves effective to be in the competitive market. Because what happens, the cost of operation of a large enterprise and a MSME is slightly, very different. Then the technology, the ERP system, the SAP system, everything is available to a larger company. Their cost effectiveness can be brought down. The point, again, is very clear that the smaller companies must learn to share. can we have shared technology with us, so that can we use the same thing where we as a particular industry, can we use the same resources, can we do the sharing of resources, can we have marketing, sharing of marketing abilities. I think this is one thing that the Indian industry has yet not come into. So I think this is a very important aspect, because what happens is, if you share your resources or your cost, and that what will happen is your cost of operations will come down. And I think you cannot share trade secrets, naturally, your ideas, but what you can share is something different. Your compliances, your other marketing expenses, etc., etc. One can do it. And if you look at across the sector, whether it is in the financial sector, whether it is in the... So yesterday I was reading a model in which a bank branch has no human. You go in, you get the checkbook, you get your account, they open the account, and it's all robotics. And I was seeing that sample yesterday, and I was very impressed. So within 10 minutes, the turnaround time for me was 10 minutes. Photographs will be taken, thumb impression, retinal, this thing, everything will happen, and I'm out in the branch in 10 minutes time. This is where we are going. And this is where I think we have to get into the right bus to do all this. We have to be in the right forum to do all this. And I think the key is, what are we going to do? What is our end game? Sometimes we do not know the end game. And that's why you see a lot of these companies get merged, because you reach to a certain level and do not know what next. And I think that is the key. What next? What is the end goal? What do you want to achieve at the end of it? Do you want to create a valuation game and reach somewhere, or to be bought out? Or do you want to be a competitive player, or are you wanting to exit the business at some point of time? So I think the promoters and the founders, whoever it is, and the shareholders must be very clear and in taking that call. And I know businesses, I know promoters who have done 5 years of a particular business, exited, made money, then gone into another one, made money and got out, made 1 or 2 losses, and then still survived, because they know when to exit and when to execute newer things. So I think the key is, every entrepreneur, every person, every promoter has an idea. And how he or she is going to execute is very important. And the end game is equally important, because the landscape is fast changing, because the competition is high, technological changes are very rapid. And I am looking at my own profession. In my own profession, artificial intelligence, related party transactions, I remember we used to look at various books. Now I just go to the MCA site and see what it is. I will know what is what. I will know the type of relationships one will have. Everything is available. So even our profession is changed, and lot of data being available. I can say, suppose somebody is showing a lesser net profit, I can compare it with all the peers and see why is the person having lesser net profit. So what is happening? Data is available, and data is available to ourselves, yourselves, everybody. So that makes it more important for a person to be very savvy, fast in decision making, and move forward with the times. And what will happen means, again, I remember when I started my profession, the first time that was 35 years ago, I saw something called as a cash register. I was very excited to work on a cash register. I thought it's a great thing. Then today it doesn't exist in many ways. So things have changed, but this 35 years, it took a long time to change. But the next 5 years, it's going to be rapid and furious, and the changes are going to be really fast. And I think keeping an eye on the changes, the environmental changes, the regulatory changes, see how much regulations have come in. And what is the cost of compliance today? 10 to 15%. You have GST, you have returns every quarter, monthly, you have TDS, this thing. So you have multiple things. A promoter has to look at the financials. He has to look at a credit rating agency. He has to look towards the banks. He has to look towards his shareholders. I think it is the promoter has his hands full. And I think that is what is the key. How do you manage the new environment? How do you move forward in the new environment? And how do you pause at some time to see and reflect what you have done, whether what you have done is right, wrong, or what we can do to improve? And also, how do you develop a core team which can support you along the line? And great example, Infosys, the 3-4 partners themselves, how they kept themselves very, sort of clear understanding. Whereas some people have fallen in their partnerships because in the very first few years after having built a good brand. Why? So I think this is another key. How do you keep a team which is focused, a key people, how do you maintain them? What is the benefit you're giving to them? And how do you move forward? So I'm just leaving all these thoughts to you. I know you have a long session today. You will have very interesting speakers. So I wish you all the best and thank you for calling me BW. And I'm happy to be here. Thanks a lot.